Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with this week's tech guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, you've heard me say before, these companies, they're tremendous companies, really save you time as an AD. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Tech Tuesday guest, and then go and visit these sponsors. You're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Hudl for their support of the podcast. You know, as a football coach, I used Hudl for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Hudl school, and our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the tools that you can find on the Hudl platform. Go to Hudl.com, join the 8 million users and 100 million fans who have turned their school into a Hudl school. That's Hudl.com. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see the products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an AD was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You're going to be glad you did. We also want to say thanks to Beacon Creative and Vital Signs. Now, Vital Signs has been helping schools share their legacy for over a decade, but Beacon Creative is a content creation service that is going to take your data, your stories, your legacy, and create compelling stories that you can put on your social media accounts, on your digital platform. You got to see it to believe it. I want you to email John Townsend, and you can do that at John, John, at beaconwalloffame.com. Check them out today. Beacon Creative and Vital Signs Wall of Fame. It's a winning team. We want to say thank you to Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results, facilities, their eligibility and clearance platform alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. Find out all the things that they can do for you. homecampus.com. We want to thank our good friends at Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing guru. Your coaches, your kids, your teams, it's doing great stuff. Make sure you're getting it out there through social media posts, through newsletters, and more. The team at Gipper is going to guarantee your content stays on brand while you create, share, and schedule all of your social media content. That's Gipper.com. And as always, don't forget the podcast. We want to say thank you to Hometown. Hometown continues to be a leader with their suite of solutions, including things like digital ticketing. They're still the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. But how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction? The list just goes on and on. Whether you're a principal, an AD, even a coach, Hometown is going to show you how to save time, how to raise more money, and how to bring your community together. That's hometown.com. Check them out today. We also want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and while they were all earning their degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We also want to say thanks to Booster Hub. It's the #1 Booster Club software program. You know, your Booster Club needs boosters who can deliver results, not headaches. And a weak system can lead to problems, but Booster Hub is going to take care of that. Sponsorship payments, meal fees, concession sales, it all flows through their secure system. Communication, scheduling, online spiritware sales, you name it, Booster Hub is going to give your boosters more time to support you as fans. And isn't that what you want? Give your boosters the platform they truly deserve and the platform they need. Go to boosterhub.com for more information. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys, by LifeTrack. If you're not using a survey to take the pulse of your student athletes, your coaches, how about your parents, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that really connects you to all of your stakeholders. That's athleticsurveys.com. And as always, don't forget to mention the podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another Tech Tuesday segment on the Educational AD Podcast. We don't typically do this. We frequently do this with our interviews. It's a back to college episode. Our guest today is Greg Spicka. Greg is the athletic director at Widener University. That's in Pennsylvania. We're going to get to hear a little bit about his background, but we wanted to share on this Tech Tuesday featuring Hudl, how Widener, Greg and Widener, have used Hudl at their school to really leverage all the different features. When I was a football coach, I obviously used the video and the analytics part as an AD. We were a Hudl school, and our coaches did the same thing. But there's so much more than video. Administration, data, the operations suite, particularly registration, I think is something Greg's going to share with us. But they have done a tremendous job that has allowed them to streamline their different processes, improve the fan experience. That's something every high school AD is looking for, and really connect everything from start to finish. And I think Widener can be a model for athletic directors who also want to monetize their programs while saving time and creating a big impact for their school and their stakeholders. So, Greg Spick, welcome to Tech Tuesday and the Educational AD Podcast.
Yeah, Cenk, thanks for having me on. Just want a quick note before, as much as I'd love to be our AD, I'm our communications and operations director over here, but get a heavy involvement there. But really appreciate you bringing me on.
Okay. Well, let me go and make that note, that correction to my notes there. Communications Director for Athletics. All right. Let's go and start. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So, as I like to say, give us your life story in 2 minutes. What's the Greg Spicka origin story?
I will try to keep it under 2 minutes. I graduated from the University of Scranton in the good old COVID day, as we can call that now. So 2020 was my grad year. Spent that last semester online. Really thought I was jumping onto the finance world of things in a career path, and then made the decision to switch over to college athletics my junior year. Spent 2 years coaching swimming here at Widener with my coach, who was my coach up at Scranton. So got to see that side, fun-ish part of that. Got to jump over right after that to more of an administrative side, where I focused on operations in the department, and then jumped into the communications director role shortly after I started part-time there. From there, have spent past 3 years at Widener, building, learning, growing as much as I can interpersonally, and growing our social media platforms and websites and what we do around here on a game day.
So, Director of Communications, I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, you already corrected me once today, is that, say, to use an old school term from my day, sports information director, is that SID stuff and then a lot more because of, the growth of social media?
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, the social media has taken off astronomically in the past, 10 years, maybe even longer than that. But even from year to year, we see growth there, and more of an opportunity from our end.
Yeah. And I love that answer, the opportunity. I think high school athletic directors in particular, and most of our audience is high school ADs, but we do have some college ADs and coaches that listen. The social media aspect, the marketing, the promotion, for an old guy like me, that was never really, something we thought about. We were, too busy working internally on our kids, our coaches, et cetera. But now it's part of the job. And if you're not doing it and not doing it well, you're really going to fall behind. Let's go and jump into the Hudl platform. Now, I mentioned earlier I used Hudl primarily, and I think my coaches did. I retired 5 years ago, just as you were graduating, from the video and the analytics. But it's so much more. You're using it at Widener for that, but you're also doing ticketing and registration and streaming. How is that? I know those used to be a lot of separate platforms, but now it's all under the Hudl umbrella. How does that work for you as a director of communications?
Oh, we love it. It's been a great move. I think this is our second year, coming up on our end of second year, with a full department package for us. So we've got team accounts under one roof. The streaming platform for our conference lives under that roof as well. And then we recently integrated the ticketing side to it. And then this year was the programming and registration side. From our standpoint, it's been smooth as all day, especially with our account rep. Um, so from that point, the streaming side for us was the top priority when we first initially went in with this full package. How do we integrate that in with our team's platforms as well? And then integrate with our conference where we can site share out to our other 7 members on our side or 16, 15 members for the entire conference. So that was the primary goal. And then everything past that was just added opportunity for us to benefit what our coaches have in their toolbox.
Right, right. You and I were talking before, and this is something that I remember doing as an AD. I was at a private school, so it was kind of a college atmosphere. But we did tons and tons of camps in addition to our varsity sports, JV sports, etc. How has the Hudl platform helped you? I guess particularly with registration for camps and events. Has it made a difference?
Oh, definitely made a difference. The way that I had looked and taken the approach, especially in the whole Hudl realm of our package, was to help coaches take some things off their plate, let them focus on coaching. Because a lot of what we were using before would be, an external platform that a team might pay for, like football paid for something. I think our men's and women's soccer paid for something, and women's lacrosse paid for something. Totally separate, non-integrated to anything that we had been using, especially with our website provider too. Um, where they were on that, they would make their own platform. They would have to make, a social media graphic for it to share out or a link from that standpoint. Um, when Blair had approached me this, I want to say it was mid fall, late fall, about jumping onto this platform and being one of their testers for it, immediately sign me up. Um, from the time that we had integrated over, we had, I think from that time to date, we had run 5 different camps among women's soccer and softball. And for them, all they had to do for us was send me the information, and I populated it up, gave them the link, and all they had to do was focus on running their clinic. And from the feedback that we've gotten from them, a lot easier on their part, less time consuming from their end. And from more of a parent perspective, I know we had an issue one time on a softball thing because I put an age restriction on it where we had to work that out internally. Um, but I think they liked that it was a one-time platform for them too, where eventually we will integrate, possibly a cost in streaming where they need to have an account with it, or their son or daughter has to make a Hudl account anyway with it, and their information's in, and it just helps us with a marketing standpoint from that grouping.
Oh,
Um,
no, I was just going to say, absolutely. You had mentioned earlier, trying to make things easier for coaches instead of each coach, each sport doing their own thing. Just let them, run their camp, run their clinic, and all the details that go into it. The registration, but beyond that, the waivers, medical info, payments. You mentioned eligibility. What makes the Hudl platform that much easier than what you were doing before?
Yeah, so us, especially with softball. Softball loves their camps. They've been doing and having great success with them, which is awesome. Where previously we've been using our website to do a form with it, more of a registration form. And then we used for the first time the Huddle programming to do just digital payment with it instead of a cash option or a Venmo option. Um, we had just moved it back over, so I scrapped that one side of it on our website. So everything's on the Huddle side, um, where I love the registration. I love that I can take a payment. I love that I can also have the flexibility to, have a ticker option saying, "Hey, this clinic is free, but you're paying on site," kind of deal. Like you want to pay cash on site. Flexibility there. More from an administrative backend. I love that I can pull the report of who is signed up to give to my coach, who's running that camp, all their information, contact, position, high school graduation year, parent contact information. What we haven't gotten into would be the waiver side. And I just think that the teams currently are doing that themselves. Um, but obviously looking for more ways to improve what we do here.
No, no, and that's a great point. In this podcast, we talk about the AD's toolbox and finding the right tool. And I think one of the most important tools for an AD is time, and there's never enough time. Um, since Hudl has become really a true one-stop shop, and we've mentioned all the features, can you put a number, a percentage, a value? How much time has this given to you in a communication standpoint? How much time has this given back to coaches and ADs? Can you put a figure on that?
That I, a number, maybe not as much, more of a talk through on it and take it as you will and time there. But from my standpoint, I love that I don't have to spend time counting how many 20s I have in my cash box or how many singles I have in the cash box that need to go, break into fives or tens or something like that. So I save time there. From a cleaning up reconciliation standpoint in the back end of everything, especially with ticketing too, for our basketball games and football. The newest reports that we get save so much time on not having to run credit card numbers from, an on-site vendor payment box, where it's all just broken up, divided into our account. This is the game that they paid for, or this is the clinic they paid for, and this is the amount that needs to be transferred into their respective accounts. Saves us, I would say it saves our associate athletic director, Larissa, a lot of time for that one. She's overseeing that, where I just hit download on the email in the week, forward that right on to her, and she handles the rest. But from what I've heard from her, it's a lot easier to do that and have either a broken down transaction report or a full program or ticket report come through.
Right. No, absolutely. It sounds wonderful. You had mentioned parents earlier, and high school athletic directors, they're going to, I don't want to say deal with, they're going to work with parents probably a little more frequently than you do at the college level. Although for the camps and the clinics, certainly, parents outside the university are signing up for that. From your perspective, since adding these Hudl features, the registration, the operations suite, um, did that reduce your load, or maybe the coach or athletic director's load of parent conversations?
Yeah, I from a coach's standpoint more so. I think they were the ones primarily handling any communication about their clinic out to them. Um, I know our women's soccer coach loves it, and it's, post this information on the clinic. Reach out if you have any concerns past that. The only, I guess, reaching out from a parent side that I've gotten would be the eligibility question for that softball. Um, but again, I think that was a user inflicted error there. But I haven't. gotten anything negative about our change here, and I think the coaches would probably say and feel the same way.
Okay. Whether you're a director of communications or an AD or a coach, I think that one thing you dread is that email that says, we're going to a new system. Okay. When you made that decision to go all in with Hudl, all the different features, what was the onboarding like? How long did it take? And I already know the answer because I did it myself as an AD. How good were the Hudl people to work with?
hmm Um, Everybody who I've interacted with at Hudl has been amazing, supportive. We can just pick up the phone and call them if I have a question, even if it's a mundane question that maybe I can find the answer to online. Um, our onboarding process took a little bit longer than I had envisioned, and I honestly still think we're in that process of onboarding everything. Um, our biggest concern when we had first started was the team accounts, making sure that we can get a differential pricing for what our teams had been paying for it before it was an a la carte kind of deal. Now we're pretty streamlined as a department from that standpoint. And then us jumping from our previous streaming platform to this has been great with that. And the integration there has been really quick. Where we had taken our time to do, and I think this was more methodical, was our ticketing platform, where prior to 2022 or three, we were all cash only. Football games, men's and women's basketball, were our ticketing or sported events, and they were cash only. We had explored the option to do a credit card through the university system in 2023, I believe, and it was just a very odd way of doing it for us, where it was more, I think it was more steps for us to do instead of a link. So we started it in football this past year, but our test, I would say beta grouping would be the basketball games last season, where we integrated them um, with complimentary tickets, where we had even changed that platform from last year to this year. So they were our test, how well is this going to work? And we still offer the cash version of it. Um, I think the biggest struggle that we had was getting our teams to send the comp tickets out, honestly. Um, and then getting my student staff who scan the tickets to make sure they have the right tools to do so. Um, where I see us going in the future would honestly be a no cash option where we're fully digital um, for all of football, all of basketballs, all of our program and registration to move to an all digital world. I just think it's time, and as much as I don't say it personally, I think people still carry cash with them for it. Um, but that rollout was a little slower than I had anticipated, but have to adapt to the changes of what work and flow in the department.
Yeah, and again, every school that makes that step, goes through that decision making process. We do total, no cash. Do we have that option available for, again, that demographic that still, uses cash? Um, Boy, it sounds really cool. I'd love to, take a deeper dive on this. Um, for our athletic directors who are listening that maybe aren't using Hudl, that haven't gone through this process, maybe they're a little bit tech averse. What would you say to them about the Hudl process?
Yeah, honestly, give them a call. I think it's a great learning opportunity for any high school, any college out there who already use the Hudl platform with some of their, especially football teams, maybe the lacrosses. Um, when we had made the jump, we brought in the camera system, the Hudl Focus cameras too, and just given another suite to our coaching staffs for opportunities to use at practices and our men's football or yeah, excuse me, football team and men's soccer heavy use on it. They love the camera. They're using a bunch of angles. with it. So even if you're curious about it, I just recommend giving them a call, maybe sitting through a Zoom meeting for a little training or an educational piece for it. Um, and then even looking past that for, a full department package of team accounts and focus cameras and the ticketing side, um, high school ADs, especially with the programming that goes on in high school athletics, the registration side from it, beneficial. It's just a learning opportunity, I would say. And the best way to do it is honestly just give them a call.
Yeah. No, and again, I would say the same thing. Our regular listeners hear me say it on every episode. I used it as a football coach and as an athletic director. We were a Hudl school. We had the focus cameras in our gyms. We had them out on our field, and our coaches, our program, everybody just loved it. Greg, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, maybe pick your brain a little bit more, or just add you to their network, what's the best way they can connect with Greg Spick?
Sure. Emails, amazing. I think that's the best way. Honestly, LinkedIn, as much as I'm not on it a lot, I'd say an easier way to get in touch as well too. Um, my email is GD Spicka, SPICKA at widener.edu. Feel free to drop me an email. More than happy to sit on a phone call or exchange emails back and forth, whatever I can do to help college athletics move forward and adopt as much technology as we can.
Well, Greg, thanks again for sharing with our listeners. All the best for Widener and all your teams and programs moving forward. And we're going to have to get you back on the podcast to do a full interview for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And Jake, thanks for reaching out and inviting me on. It was fun.
Oh, absolutely. For listeners, we want to say thanks to you and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do Tech Tuesday just about every week and just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Before we go, of course, we want to give our sponsors another shout out, and let's go and start with Hudl. You just heard how Widener University uses it. I used it as a football coach, as an AD. We were a Hudl school. So go to hudl.com for more information. Hometown. It's continuing to be a leader for fundraising, for digital ticketing, and more. Go to hometown.com. Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Check out Ohio University. We want to say thanks to Gipper. Turn your school social media to the next level. Go to Gipper.com. Let their team help you become a social media guru. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Athletic surveys. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Booster Hub, it's the #1 Booster Club software program out there. Check out boosterhub.com. Home Campus, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results, athletic eligibility, Home Campus is the platform for you. Check out homecampus.com. And Beacon Creative, they're part of Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Email John Townsend at Beacon Creative for more information. Thanks as always for listening to Tech Tuesday. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.